All right, we're going to go out to Denver and be joined by Mark Schlereth at his crib. Welcome, Mark. All right, let's get to it. Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints, according to former Pro Bowl wide receiver Brandon Marshall, who had a cup of coffee with the Saints in his last season in the NFL, the Saints window is closed. Let me quote directly from Brandon Marshall. He said this yesterday on ESPN, I believe. Their window is closed. Their window is closed. Their window is closed. I'm sorry. Did you see what happened to their defense last year? Do you see that everyone in the league has the book on New Orleans offense now? Did you see that? It's over. It's a wrap. Marcellus, you agree with with Brandon Marshall here?
No, I don't. And I actually respect how he was leading to his conclusion. I like the variables in his equation. Oh, while you have Drew Brees, and we know that Drew Brees now over 40 years old, you got to take advantage of all situations. So, you got robbed in the playoffs one year. The next year you guys sputtered and lose at home to Minnesota. But then he hits the equal sign, and the summation of that all was wrong. Like, they can get back up. You can fall down in life and get back up, as they did the first year after they got robbed in the playoffs. They picked themselves back up, found themselves back in the playoffs again. And remember, this is the New Orleans Saints, the paper bag over the head franchise. Remember the distance they traveled from those days to winning the Super Bowl. This is a much shorter distance from losing a wild card game at home and then dusting yourself off next year. And who knows, being in a Super Bowl. So disagree with his conclusion.
Yeah, you know how you always say, hey, no disrespect intended, and then you disrespect somebody? I'm about to do that right now. No disrespect intended to Brandon Marshall. You ain't ever sniffed the playoffs. Like, you played for a long time. You were a great player. You never sniffed the playoffs. When I look at the New Orleans Saints, they have the best wide receiver in all of football. They added Emmanuel Sanders to that receiving core. They have one of the best left tackles in football, one of the best right tackles in football, one of the best tight ends in football, one of the best running backs in football in Alvin Kamara. You've got Drew Brees, who's a top 3 quarterback. By the way, let me move to defense. Cameron Jordan's all-pro. They've got Rankins and Davenport, both first-round draft choices. Demario Davis had one of the best seasons ever as a linebacker. He's a tremendous player. And you've got one of the best cornerbacks in all of football in Marcus Lattimore. Hey, I don't care if people have caught up to you. They haven't caught up to your talent. And by the way, that's a ridiculous statement that people have caught up to your system. When you have talent like that, you've got 11 or 12 elite players at multiple positions. Are you kidding me? Their window has not even come close to closing.
Well, I totally agree with you and Marcellus. But I somewhat think that the window's not as wide open as it used to be. Look, Drew Brees is probably in his final season. Where I really disagree with Brandon Marshall is Sean Payton, whether Brandon Marshall likes him or not, is a hell of a coach. There was a long stretch last season where I absolutely thought, without a doubt, New Orleans was the best team in football. Did they sputter at the end? Did they choke out in the playoffs? Absolutely. But to suggest that in Drew Brees' final year, with Sean Payton and these guys, they're still upset about that NFC Championship game from 2 years ago. To think that their window is closed is somewhat ridiculous, and I agree with Mark's passion and what, Marcellus, what you had to say. The window's not as wide open as it used to be, but it damn sure ain't closed. That's a ridiculous statement.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem, man. And I think all the married guys out there can feel this one. We see Drew Brees, and we see his age, his birth certificate, and we're like, the expiration date is either here or it's already passed. And that's what's the problem with this. I think so much of what he was saying was just tied to that expiration date. Reason I bring this up, because in my house, there are a few items at times that the expiration date has passed. And my wife is quick to throw it out. And I'm quick to remind her that that's what they suggest. That's what they recommend. That's what they say. Get rid of that. So you go to the store and buy another one. Really, ain't nothing wrong with that damn milk. Ain't nothing wrong with that pepperoni. Eat it. Drink it. But here's the thing. Brandon Marshall doesn't want to do that. He just want to throw out Drew Brees because he's over 40. He's got to be done. Have you looked at how they played? Have you looked at how this team performs? Have you looked at their depth? Have you looked at their philosophy and scheme? Absurd to say it to me. Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, and listen, anytime you get into multiple playoff scenarios like the Saints have been in over the last 3 years, it's hard. It's hard to continue to do that. But Drew Brees, 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in 11 starts last year, completed almost 75% of his passes. Drew Brees is still legit. He's still one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league. And as long as you have that, oh, by the way, you know what? People thought they were going to fall apart when Teddy Bridgewater came in, went up to Seattle, and won a start in Seattle and won 5 games. They thought he'd fall apart. Don't tell me he can't coach. They can coach. Heck, they can put Taysom Hill back there, and they're going to win a bunch of ball games. I mean, they are that good from a coaching standpoint and from a talent standpoint and execution standpoint. Saints are one of the top teams in the league. Book it.
And Sean Payton, we know, is a little bit petty. He responded over social media, basically labeling Brandon Marshall a fortune teller and kind of mocking it. I get where Sean Payton's coming from. Perhaps he'll wear one of those clown T-shirts like he did for Roger Goodell. This will be the motivation for the Saints this year. Brandon Marshall saying it's a wrap, they're done. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.